And so, yeah, from all of that, through some classes at Northeastern, what was that, the intro class? Shaughnessy's intro class. It's a good class. He's a good guy. That's what he's doing. Through some other classes, through work with professors, talking to foundations, working with the Deshpande Foundation, I started asking that question on a broader scale. So not only what difference am I making, what difference is this nonprofit making, but what impact is the sector having, and what does that mean? And from there, we started exploring different avenues for addressing that question, seeing who's out there, who's doing it. There's a lot of intermediary organizations out there, like Charity Navigator, GuideStar, GiveWell, who look at mostly financial aspects of nonprofits and didn't really get us the answers that we were looking for. And so kind of after a lot of research, a lot of time looking at the space, we decided that we were going to start our own organization. So I worked with two colleagues, and that was probably about two and a half years ago now. And we decided that the best way to change kind of your thinking, instead of going either in a consulting role where we would have individual change, and that's great, but we wanted to work more on a structural level. And so we decided to become a marketplace and try to reshift or reclaim the focus of the nonprofit sector back to the impact that nonprofits are having. So when donors, or what we like to call them investors, give or donate or whatever to a nonprofit, we don't want them just looking at the numbers and the heartwarming stories, but we want them to ask, how much impact is this organization having? And so that's on one side of the marketplace. On the other side, we have nonprofits who, I would say, probably about 90% or more, probably 95% are nonprofits, and that's not a fact, don't quote me on that, but probably don't really understand what impact they're having. They can tell you good stories, and they can show you some numbers here and there, and that's great. I love nonprofits. We're a nonprofit ourselves, and it's a struggle, but we want to help nonprofits actually develop the internal systems so that they can understand their own impact and then be able to fundraise based on that. So, I mean, end goal for us is completely shifting the way fundraising works in the nonprofit sector, turn it from a fundraising model where there's tons of time, energy, resources wasted to an investing model where people are looking at the impact that nonprofits are creating. And nonprofits are able to just focus their time on creating impact, since that's what they're set up to do. So that's kind of the thinking behind it, and the approach that we're taking is developing an online marketplace. And so we've spent the last few years raising funds, doing program development, piloting some of our programs, and developing the back end of an online marketplace. It hasn't launched yet. It's starting a business in a recession, especially a nonprofit one, is a struggle, but it's good. It's helped us. I mean, it's forced us to innovate, look at everybody that's out there, and really make something that's going to be useful for nonprofits and donors. And so next steps for us are really just finishing the marketplace. We have our marketplace tool. We have an assessment tool that assesses the integrity of a nonprofit and their ability to produce social value. We have some training tools that will be online to supplement the marketplace for nonprofits that need to get caught up to speed or understand frameworks to build internal systems that they need. So we're kind of building those programs, and eventually they'll launch as kind of this marketplace ecosystem where everyday folks, donors, investors can all go on and interact with nonprofit organizations in a much more meaningful way.
When do you expect to launch out?
It's TBD. Any programmers in here? No? That's the toughest thing to find. We've been working with some volunteer programmers. Programmers cost a lot of money, especially ones that are really good. Basically, since everybody knows Facebook nowadays, we need people who can program at the level twice that. So it's a really complicated back end on our end with search algorithms and whatnot to make it all come together nicely and really clean user interface. So hopefully by the end of the year, we would love to hit next giving season to help folks shift their giving this coming November, December, but we'll see.
What were some of the things? What were some of the best things you did as an undergrad that you think prepared you for the role that you're in right now?
Not taking no for an answer. I think I could have done a lot of typical co-op or whatnot experiences, but I just said, you know what, I'm gonna take this experience and I'm gonna make the best out of it. And so I was able to, the co-op with Peace Games, the organization, I think they're called Peace First now. Instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to go to my job every day and do the regular co-op thing and then leave after 6 months, it was what's going on here, get a good sense of the organization, build relationships, and then say, what else can I add to this picture to really help the organization move in the direction that they want to go in. Sometimes that's small things, sometimes that's big things. I'm just really trying to take those opportunities. And I'm saying, I might be a student, but I have a lot to offer. There's the same thing. I helped a few friends start the organization, the One Campus Network, that now works in 4 different cities. And we were all students at the time, saying that we're going to start a national movement around ending extreme poverty, connecting student organizations, providing them the skills and networking and opportunities that they need to succeed. And a lot of folks laughed at us, and we said, you know what, we're not going to take no for an answer, we're going to keep doing this. And it's been hugely successful for a small nonprofit, over the last few years. Just probably what a lot of folks tell you, take life by the horns, don't take no for an answer, and make the most out of it. Northeastern has more opportunities than you can imagine, and especially through dialogues, through the Social Enterprise Institute. They're just creating so many new opportunities that, wow, it's fantastic.
Now, do you ever hire interns or volunteers? You mentioned volunteers. I'm wondering if you need volunteers with more experience, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so, ideally, we would like to hire folks, but we don't have the resources to do that at this point. We have 6 students working for us now, 1 undergrad actually from Northeastern, 5 grad students from Harvard, MIT, a lot of Boston schools. So you can call it volunteer, internship, whatever, but we take such a diverse research-based approach to our work. There's a lot we want to do and we haven't done yet, but we have kind of in our framework. And so if you're interested in what we're doing and you're like, I want to find out more, or I would like to get involved, there's usually a place for folks who are really, really willing to work hard. But there's more formal opportunities, like we do assessments of nonprofits. You have to have a really strong skill set to do that, being able to be a good detective and really work with nonprofits in a meaningful way. But yeah, nothing paid now, but a lot of great internship opportunities. A lot of folks have come back to us and said this helped me get to the next level, which is good to hear.
Okay, so we'll move on to Emily. So Emily is also an alum.
Yes.
09.
09. I graduated in December. It gets confusing.
Confusing.
Yeah.
And Emily works for Root Capital, so maybe you can tell us what Root Capital does and what your role there is specifically.
Yeah. So Root Capital, just across the river in Cambridge, is a social investment fund. We're a nonprofit, and we finance small and growing businesses in rural areas of developing countries. So we essentially provide capital, financial education, and market connections to small and growing businesses. We've loaned over $250 million to over 300 businesses in 30 countries, mostly in Latin America and Africa right now. And we have a 99% repayment rate to our borrowers and 100% repayment to our investors. So we receive investments and donations. I came to Root Capital as an intern, so that's a nice success story. Unpaid. I had graduated about a year and a half ago, and jobless. I was an international affairs major, and through co-op and through my experiences with, going to the Dominican Republic with SDI and going on co-op and the dialogues, I was really gravitated towards the social enterprise space, and I had a part-time internship gig at Harvard doing research on international conflict, and it was good. It wasn't my thing. So I had landed a part-time internship at Root Capital, and I just loved it. It was exactly the environment that I had felt like I was looking for, because at that point I had become somewhat jaded about nonprofits. Based on their impact, like people have talked about, and their inefficiencies. And so you know, I wasn't necessarily looking to leave the nonprofit world or even look for the nonprofit world. I just wanted to work for a place that, you know, worked, that just made sense to me.